Every month or so, Lisa de Lusignan and Laura Bradley drop into Studio 4 to talk about the realities of modern-day relationships. They are registered professional counselors and coaches who run Fab Love Life workshops, and they are here today to discuss single-parent dating. It is my pleasure to welcome Lisa de Lusignan and Laura Bradley back to Studio 4 to tell us more.
Hi, Fanny.
And you're out of the living room today.
I know,
We were just too lazy to move about.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. What a good topic. Single parents with kids.
Yes.
Trying to date for the first time or the second time or the third time.
Yes.
So, firstly, how do you get back into action? Divorce over, separated.
Well, that point is just an important point, is that the first thing is you should make sure that your divorce is over, that you're really separated from your partner.
True. But many people are separated, don't have the final divorce decree, but they are definitely apart.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Just make sure in your mind that you're finished.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's hard to know that, but a certain amount of time needs to pass before you should start seriously dating. I mean, going on some light coffee dates or things like that is one thing, but beginning another relationship, you should really be sure emotionally that you are finished. And I don't think you ever really are finished, but that at least you've cleaned up some of the things that have happened.
Sure, even if you're not still married to the person, you may still love the person your whole life.
Well, that's the tricky part about being a single parent. That relationship is never really going to be over in some way. So that's why it's really important to do, as Lisa's suggesting, clean up whatever there is to clean up there, because as you start a new relationship, that ex is always going to be part of your life. So if you're still attached to that ex, it's going to make it hard for you to fully bond with a new partner.
Of course, and he will always be the dad and you will always be the mom, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
However, some relationships, and you know this, break up because of another.
Yes.
And an affair.
Yes.
Or an affairette. So now you have kids. The kids are really mad because you're divorced, and you have a new mate who has been your mate surreptitiously, but now you have to make the decision when to introduce, if the kids don't know, and kids are pretty smart.
Yes.
But at a certain age, to bring in this person, and then you have to tell the little fib about when you actually met the person.
Right. So you're talking about if you're the person that had the affair, if you're the partner that has had the affair.
And maybe your kids know, maybe your kids don't know, but now you have the person that you left the other for. How complicated is this getting?
Extremely
Very
complicated. And it's those relationships have a less chance of working out. The affair relationships are very small percentage of them actually work out. So to then start bringing this relationship into your family life is it's not a wise decision, and it's more likely to keep that relationship separate and see where it's going to go first before you take it into the children.
What if you're a single parent with children and you meet someone who has never been a father or a mother, never had kids? So now, surprise, you're the package.
That's one thing that you need to consider if you're a single person dating a family, that you have to know that just what I said, you're going to date a family. And so that once you get to that stage where you're going to introduce that new person, as that new person, you have to know that that you're also dating these children in some ways, right? You're also starting a relationship with these children. It's a package deal. So that wonderful romance stage that we always talk about that you have in the beginning happens when you're dating a single parent, but you don't have the same luxury. That time is kind of broken and chomped when you have to be a mature enough person to go, I can't have this person all to myself. If I'm going to be competing with their attention with their kids are the primary relationship, especially with young children. And it's not a fair expectation to put on a single parent that they should change that. And lots of people pressure a single parent to put them first, and it's not appropriate, especially with young children.
Exactly, and the flexibility factor is simply not there.
No.
If you have a soccer game on Saturday, you have a soccer game on Saturday, and you can't go to his football game or vice versa. It just is how it is, and your kids should take top priority. And then, in a perfect world, the children think your new mate is fabulous.
Yes.
In a
But
perfect
often
world.
they don't.
Doesn't always happen.
No.
And I think that part of it too is that whole romance period in the beginning that Laura was saying, is that romance period may actually get to be spread out a little bit, because maybe you have the kids every second weekend. Well, that's the time you see the mate. So the single parent often will rush in to try to make this instant family. Oh, great, now I have the new wife or the new husband. And the children are still recovering from the marriage and the divorce. So it is very wise to go slowly, step in slowly with it, and have it romantic every second weekend. But skip, so you can't go to their events. You're going to your children's events.
Right.
And that new partner doesn't always have to come to those events. Like, keep those things separate for a long enough time to ease that new partner in slowly.
Have the affair at his house.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
Right, or the
Yeah.
romance at
It
his
can keep
house.
it spicy
Have-
for longer,
right.
actually, if you work with
Yeah.
it. If you work with the things that are difficult and make them positive, you can actually keep that spice that we all love in the beginning of a relationship. It can last longer, the mystery and the intrigue and the dying
Sure.
to be together.
And you always want your children to embrace your new mate, and you hope they do, and sometimes they don't. You can't force it. It's something that has to work, and sometimes there's just a personality clash.
Yeah.
It's just so.
Well-
If you're not the biological parent, and you just don't like the kid. Now that puts a lot of pressure on the person, because if you love the adult,
But you don't like
but
the
they
children.
don't love your children
I think you need a new
at
relationship.
some level.
I think that would be breakup
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
That would be, I
It's
think
not-
that it's the new person, so the single person coming into the family, if they have issues with the children, that is actually their issue, not the children's issue.
True.
So that is time for that person entering to start looking at what is the problem here, because I'm sensing that problem was there before they entered the family.
Right.
So the parent needs to decide, do you want to work this issue out, or it's time to end it, because the kids always have to come first.
Yes, they do,
They're-
and you have to
come
make
first.
that decision, say, I can't be with someone my kids
Yeah.
loathe.
Yeah, and you have to be able to decipher whether they're just having a reaction to this new relationship with, even like you said, in the best possible case scenario, even when the kids do like the new partner, there's still a loss. Because no matter how long you've been separated from the original partner, it's hard for a child not to somewhere hope that the family's going to get back together,
Right.
and it threatens a safety on kind of like a primal level. So these children are going to have a natural grieving process. So you've got to be grown up and mature enough person when you enter that kind of relationship to go, it's okay, your dad's always going to be your dad, or your mom's always going to be your mom. I'm going to be another big person that's going to care and love and take care of you, and that's my role here.
Right. And it's a very evolved teenager who says, my mother has a new boyfriend, and it's the best thing that ever happened to her, and I'm
Yeah.
so happy for
Yes.
I don't think that ever happens.
her. It doesn't happen very
No.
often unless everybody's happy, because
Yeah.
sometimes there's one mate who's not all that happy.
Yeah.
And the other question is, when do you allow the new mate to sleep over?
That's it.
And do you tell the kids before you make that decision, or does he just show up at breakfast?
Okay, well, for sure you
Yeah.
tell the kids.
Definitely tell them.
For sure, and I think it's an age-appropriate thing. You have to look
Yeah.
at, where is my child developmentally, socially able to understand this concept, right?
Right.
So if you have like a 7-year-old, well, I would say you'd go a lot slower. It would take you a long time before you had a sleepover. Whereas if you have a 16 or 17-year-old, you could probably explain what's happening a lot sooner and easier. But I think you always need to tell, even with a 3-year-old, cognitively they understand more than they can speak, and you tell it to them kind of to the age appropriateness of what they can understand.
Of course, and even if you think you are very sneaky mommy or very sneaky daddy,
They know.
and the girlfriend comes home with you, and you make the girlfriend leave at 4 in the morning so the kids don't find out, you know what? Often they know.
They know.
Oh, yeah.
Either one got up in the night, or they see funny shoes.
Yeah.
So you might as well fess up.
Yeah, and it also starts, that's not a very good way to start a relationship, to start lying to your
I
children.
mean, out the window, the kids are here.
That is not the way you want to start a relationship. Potentially, this person could be in the lives of the children for 20 years, and that is not the good starting point.
Potentially, but if they're not, and this is when you get into sort of a serial monogamy thing in the age of free love, and so you have a relationship with somebody for 4 years, the kids have now bonded with the person, you break up with the person, now the kids are sad again, even though it's not the biological parent.
Yeah,
difficult.
I
Yeah,
think you have to think about it like, when you've been dumped and how that feels when you're not ready to enter a relationship and you're a grown up going through that process. We've all been on that receiving end. Imagine being a 7-year-old and trying to make sense of being dumped when it's not even your primary relationship. It's a lot to put your children through, and I know we can't predict that kind of stuff, but that's why it's good to make sure that you understand yourself, you understand the relationship, you have a good sense of that person before you're bringing them in to the family. And if the worst possible case scenario happens, that at least you're mature enough to be able to allow your kids to have the disappointment and the upset and the grief.
And the
about it.
continuing relationship,
can
and you
have-
have to be
Yes.
very broad-brained because your kids bond with your current live-in.
Yeah.
The live-in goes away. You get another live-in, and the kids are bonded to the other live-in. And we have a lot of ex-mates I know, but it's about their relationship with that person.
Yeah, and often the second breakup or the third breakup is very much like the original divorce. So if you're not pals with your ex-partner, your ex-spouse, you're likely to repeat the same thing in the next relationship. So the children are actually getting an exact repetition of the original divorce. So if you want to make it different for your children, see what patterns that you're creating, clean up the last divorce, make friends with that partner, with the ex-spouse, which is very difficult. And then in the next breakup, if it happens, again, recreate a new type of relationship. Maybe you're not living together anymore, maybe you're not partners, but you can still create friendships so the kids can keep contact and keep this relationship going. And it teaches them that, you know, when you break up, you don't hate somebody. You break up, you still might love them. It's just not working.
It's just not working.
Right, so
it's
they can
just
keep
that
that.
one's finished. That little journey's done.
Yeah.
On to next journey. And let's everybody try to be mature about this.
Try to be mature. That would be the optimum word.
Exactly. So what do you say to your ex about all of this? How much should you tell your ex? Now you've met someone. You're the single parent. You have custody of the children, or joint custody. Doesn't really matter. How much do you owe the ex?
Well, I think you
Hello,
owe the ex as much
my
as...
dear ex.
Yeah, because, and it also is depending on the age of the children. Because
Exactly.
you also, I think that child is going to be talking about mom's went on a date or dad went on a date.
And they do.
Yes, they for sure tell.
Or they
love
don't
lots of
tell anything. They
information.
just say, you know what, Mom? There was Margot at the cabin
Yes.
for all weekend.
Exactly.
And you say, what?
Yeah.
Margot who?
Yeah.
So if you're thinking as parents, even when you're separated, you're holding this safe container for your children to grow up and kind of go out and be all that they can be in the world. So even when you're divorced, you still got to hold that container together.
Right.
So I would say as soon as you're introducing it to the kids or just before, you're talking to your ex and saying, this is what I'm going to do, here's how I plan to handle it, want you to know so when they come to your house, if they have any questions or concerns or they are upset about it, that you actually can help explain it. So you're putting the kids first. It's a very mature stance to do, right?
Yes. And you don't have to tell your ex everything.
No.
I know that. But if the kids are going to talk and they're going to listen to you, that too, and they then carry it to the other family, and it gets a bit messy.
Yeah, and again, the kids are first. They're these young people, you're growing up and they're first. So you've got to think about not what went on in this ex relationship is first, but you've got to actually tell your partner, okay, here, we've got to get in line about what's best for our children. And that means we have to be able to address this.
And if you're mad at dad, you have to tell dad you're mad at him, not tell the kids you're mad at dad, so the kids relate the message to dad and vice versa.
Yes.
It just has to be the way it is.
Yeah.
It sometimes isn't. It's tough not to, when your ex does something really stupid, it's difficult
That's
not
right.
to yell a bit.
Especially when the stupid thing sometimes impacts the children.
Of course.
And then the new partner's in there too, and it all starts talking about it. Like, you have to be very mature on keeping those things separate. And I don't think that people can do a really good job without help. Like, I really think
Exactly.
it's very valuable to get some counseling and to get some help
Sure.
to introduce this new partner. And
Right,
what that's
because you
gonna
don't
look
want to
like.
badmouth the new partner either,
No.
because it all gets back and then you
No.
get into a mess and it's complicated. Maybe when you have children, you should just live apart till the children leave home, if they ever do. Because when you both have kids and you're trying to blend the families, well,
It's tricky. I mean, they're tricky relationship dynamics. You shouldn't not do it, but you have to go in knowing that, okay, there's going to be some extra considerations here. We're going to have to be more mature about how we deal with relationship. We're going to seek help and support. We're going to make sure we have a support network so when our partner does do something that drives us
Right.
crazy, we have somewhere more appropriate to talk about it and deal with our feelings, so then we
Yes.
can go and talk to our children about it.
exactly. And if you haven't dealt with that, wait till Christmas or a major holiday and you try and settle things, look out.
Yeah.
I think I've been there. Hey, thank you. Nice to see you
you.
again.
Thanks, Fanny.
Nice to see you again. Laura Bradley and Lisa de Lusignan, they run Fab Love Life workshops. And on Monday, our work gang weighs in on office romances when they go right and what to do when they go wrong. And Dr. Walter Lemo shares with us his expertise on integrating naturopathic techniques with conventional medicine to give patients a well-rounded approach to fighting cancer. And culinary diva Karen McSherry drops in with some of her latest gourmet treasures, perfect for the summer season. Thanks for watching Studio 4. There will be lots more on Shaw TV, only on Shaw TV.